You, what it do, man? Um, it's cold in my house. It's freezing. Yeah, the central air is one of those good problems. Woke up this morning. One of the kids must have been playing with the thermostat. Woke up to like 60 degrees in the house. It's just freezing. I had to turn it up, but it's cold. But I take that. It's been 90 degrees the last 2 days out here. So, yeah, it's one of those good problems. But 60, that's just too damn cold. Yeah, I'm in a hoodie right now. But got work to do. Floyd Mayweather fight was over the weekend. I didn't watch it. I seen some of the highlights, but I'm a boxing fan. That's not boxing to me. I don't. Yeah, anytime you got a situation with the greatest in the sport, or any sport, is doing things like this, it's not a good look. I don't understand why. I get it. It's a lot of money on the line, but 50 to 80 million, I think he made. That's great. I mean, I don't. That's great, but it's not good for the sport. It's not good for the culture. To have the greats just fighting YouTubers. I don't. If you want to put on a show, you can't fight just a boxer, a real one. You're fighting somebody with no skill, no experience, and then charging people to watch it. I don't. It's not even a real fight. You label it as an exhibition. There'll be no judges, no nothing. It's just YouTube just fighting a no-namer. It's like wrestling at this point. It's like wrestling. And I know you got the money and all that, but boxing used to be a great sport. Like I grew up on it in the 90s. So I was there for the Tysons, the Holyfields, Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis, Roy Jones, De La Hoya, Felix Trinidad, Sugar Shane, Bernard Hopkins. It's just the list. Manny Pacquiao. Like the list goes on. It used to be brawls, and back then you had to fight. You had to fight everybody. It wasn't. You couldn't duck him. If you say you're the best and he says he's the best, common sense says fight it out. Let's see. And they did. It was a lot of great memories. A lot of great fights from those eras. Knockouts, it was brawls, bloodied up. Yeah, that's how it went down. And Floyd was there too. Floyd was there for that. He came up in the mid '90s, and he was a knockout king. He was. Early in his career, he was. Like, if you watch like his last 10, 15 fights, you wouldn't think so. You wouldn't think so because, I don't know, I guess he wants to stretch the fight out as long as he can. But he was a knockout king. Yeah, his first 20, 25 fights, all knockouts. Yeah, he was taking heads off. He had a point to prove. But yeah, so I came up in that era. So when I see this now, it's like, okay, you got the money, you got 50 to 80 million, that's cool, but is all money good money now? Let's just get to the bag. That's all that people care about now. Is just get to the bag. And now you have a culture where people are doing anything to make it seem like they're getting money and they're happy, even if they're embarrassing themselves or they're taking their clothes off or they're rapping about things that they don't live. It just cheapens the whole get the bag movement that started out as people really trying to be entrepreneurs and open up a business. Now it's just whatever you could do. It doesn't matter. Go dance throw a pie in your face, or go scare the daylights out your mother while she's making some soup in the kitchen. Just whatever. It doesn't matter. Get famous. Get to the bag. Hopefully we can get out of that. But congrats to Floyd. He got his, and I guess try to get yours too without losing your soul in the process. Anyway, I really want to talk about crime. Yeah, if you look around, crime is skyrocketing everywhere. Everywhere. Can't escape it. It's like you can't. It's all over the news, and it's just so blatantly obvious. Yeah, crime is out of control everywhere. It's always been cities have been like that, but it just seems now a few more cities have been added to the list. I mean, like you got New York, Chicago, Philly, Baltimore, Minnesota's on fire. Minnesota. Ironic, that's where George Floyd, got murdered, and he died. And we had the whole social justice movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, and riots and protesting, and everybody, we're gonna fix this. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. We are sick and tired of black men being killed by the police. black men getting killed by the police. We're tired of that. That we're tired of. We cannot stand it. We won't stand for it anymore. We will not stand for another black man being killed by the police. Meanwhile, we're killing each other like it's a sport. But they're fine. Apparently, they're fine with that because they don't speak on that. They only worried about when the police do it. And the insincere part about that is, if you look at the numbers, every year, number one, the people that get killed by the police by race, every year it's the same. White people number one, black people number two, and Hispanics are number three. And white people, they usually get killed by 100 to 250 more times than anybody else. And blacks get killed usually 50 to 75 people more than Hispanics. But for some reason, but it's always number one white, two black, three Hispanic. Every year it's like that. It has never changed. But for some reason, they only show it when the black people get killed by the police. Yeah, they only showing us, and I'm offended because we're not the only ones. How come you don't show anybody else? Why do you keep showing us getting killed? When you can see the numbers, white people get killed more than we do actually, and it's by a considerable amount of people. But they don't ever focus on them. They might show a glimpse, but they never show you their name or bring the family out and protest, and none of that. Or for the Hispanics either. And now I'm not justifying it, of course, obviously, but if you're gonna show that, then show all people. So maybe everybody could kind of be on board with it. But if you only want to show when black people get shot by the police, and if you don't know any better, you would assume that only black people are getting killed by the police, but that's not the case at all. White people get killed, Hispanics get killed, Asian people get killed too, at a lower rate, of course, but it happens. But they only seem to focus on when we get killed by the police, and it's making people believe that we are the only ones, and we're being hunted, and it's happening so often, so much that is the biggest problem in the black community is the police, which is not. It's not even a major issue in the police in the black community. It's not the police. Trust me, I live in the black community. We're not worried about the police. We don't be sitting there thinking about them. 99.9% of the time, if a black person gets killed or injured or anything happened to him, it's gonna be by another black person. That's 99.9999% of the time. So they did a good job of distracting us with the police so we don't focus on the real issues. So what these people decided to do, and mind you, these cities that defunded the police, they're Democratic cities. Don't get it confused. These are Democrats, once again, with their ideologies of how to get the black community out of this rut that they basically put us in. Yeah, the Democratic Party put the black people in this rut. We've been the guinea pigs to the Democratic Party since the 60s. And if you don't believe me, just look at the 60s. Look at the conditions that we were facing in the 60s. We're still facing them 50 years later. We're still facing those same issues. They haven't fixed anything. They haven't made things better, nothing. The same issues from then are the same issues we're having now. When they protest, the same protesting that they did in the 60s, the same chants and the same slogans they use, they still use them to this day. So nothing has really much changed. But they just, whenever it's time to do a social experiment, they always try to do it on us first. I guess we're the guinea pigs. If it works on us, then they can spread it out to the masses. But the problem is that their programs don't work. All their little experiments that they try to do to make things better for us, it just doesn't work because there's no logic involved. There's no common sense. You need a balance of facts, stats, and common sense in order to make a good, sound decision about things, right? You just can't use just data all the time. Sometimes logic has to kick in too, and they don't seem to have any of it, especially nowadays. They don't have any common sense, right? So their latest experiment was to defund the police, which means take money away from the police budget, and we're going to use it for social justice programs, whatever that means, or racial equity, whatever that means, or to help end systemic racism, whatever that means. Just more dribble, more talk that they've been talking for years and years and years with no results. So they decided to do that. Now, the people who came up with this concept, right? Usually, this concept that came up with defund the police, these are from people who don't live anywhere near the black community. They don't live there. They don't live there. They can't, because you would know for obvious reason why you need the police in the black community. But they don't live there. They live in nice places, and They just don't get it. Like, if you grew up in a nice area, which means there's probably low crime, no violence, a little police presence. And usually if you grew up that way, you continue that way through life. So as you get older, you get a house, because that's what you saw growing up. So that's you follow that suit. You get a house in a nice area, good schools. So it's the same principle. Low violence, no crime, little police presence. So if you live there long enough, you grew up in that kind of environment, naturally in your mind, you're going to assume your world is kind of like the world. So if you've never seen the police, or you start to believe, well, if all they're going to do is kill people, why do we need them? Because you never needed them. Like, you probably never had a police interaction before, or very minimal besides a ticket here, or, disturbance call here, but you don't see the need for it because it's not in your world. So you're thinking that, well, we must not need them because I don't see them. I don't feel the need for them. I don't call the police. And what are they doing besides killing people? It doesn't seem like they're doing anything good. So you run with that narrative. You run with it. So you think that nobody needs the police anywhere. It's just they just get in the way of things. So, but common sense would tell you that, which they don't have, by the way, they've lost it. Will tell you that if you take the police out of an area where there's a lot of crime, it's not going to work out the way you think. Like, that concept hasn't even worked in a movie. I haven't even seen a movie to this day where they took the police out the town or the city and things got better. It's not logical. It just doesn't make any sense. And that's what's happening now. You're looking at these cities and they're on fire. On fire. They took out billions of dollars. New York took $1 billion out. Every other city, 15 million here, 50 million there, 12 million here. But they don't realize it takes money to fight crime. If you don't have enough police officers, it's not like the criminals just gonna smarten up and say, you know what, I'm going back to school. Yeah, I'm gonna go get that degree. The cops, there's not enough police officers out here for me to keep committing crime. So I'm gonna go back to school. Or I'm gonna go work at McDonald's now. Yeah, I'm going back to Mickey D's. Yeah, that's not how it works. If you take all the police out of an area with high crime already, it's only gonna get higher. Only gonna get higher. And I've been reading these articles, and people are like scratching their heads about it. Like, people on the streets, it's just, they thought things would get better after George Floyd because of what they did, what they promised. Again, once they promised, the social justice and the Black Lives Matter, and people were finally starting to get it, and we were all gonna start getting along. No, this never happened. Black on black crime is another reflection of failed policies from the Democratic Party. That's all it is. That's why they always distract you with the police. Because now we're seeing that it's not the police. It's clear as day now. It's not the police that are causing all this havoc in the black community. It's us doing it to each other. That's just what it is. And it's unfortunate to see. And I wonder sometimes, where is Black Lives Matter now that this violence in the black community is skyrocketing? Where is LeBron James? Where are the rappers, the Jay-Z's, the me? Do they even make posts and tweets about this stuff anymore? Kids are dying now, literally. 10-year-old kids are dying, 6-year-olds, they're just dying in the hands of just this reckless violence all over the streets. But nobody speaks about it. They rather, well, when it's the police, oh yeah, they all marching hand in hand and they're taking a knee and all of that. But where are they at now? Colin Kaepernick, anybody see him? Where's the Democrats? They don't even speak on it. They're still worried about taking money from the police. Even as the crime is skyrocketing, they still won't even take accountability as far as what the issue is. What the real issue is. It was not the police to begin with. Failed policies are the reason the black community is on fire. And they still are trying to create more bad policy, and they're going to try to put the blame on somebody. Trust me, the blame is coming. It won't be on them. They'll find something else. They'll blame it on systemic racism now. That's like the new it word. Systemic racism is the blame for all this now. So if you're out there and you wondering why crime is up, yeah, you could thank your politicians in these cities who decided to take money away from the police and put it to Lord knows what. Lord, I have not seen a single concrete plan from any of these cities that decided to take the money away from the police and what to do with it. I haven't seen. They talking about social workers to replace the police. Does that make any sense to anybody? You want to put a lady with a clipboard to do what? Now, granted, the woman with the clipboard is a very scary woman. I'd rather deal with the police than any woman with a clipboard. Yeah, once they start the checking on the list, you don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, once you see that the crime is up, usually it's because of the Democrats with their defund the police ideology, which is a failed ideology, as we can see, because we need the police, regardless of the fact of how you feel about them. Training is what the police need, not less money for it. It takes money to solve crimes. You see these forensic files cases and all of that. There's so many unsolved murders out here because they don't have the resources to pay for real investigation. They don't have the money for the OT. They don't have the money for the forensics. None of it. There are a lot of cities out there with just unsolved murders. Just happening. They don't have the resources to do it. And this is what happens. We took the money away to put us up to something else. Now the police are stuck, which means the civilians are stuck. So keep that in mind when you start seeing reports now. And it's not even summer yet either. It's still, summer really starts June 21st. It's like the first day of summer. So if it's like this now, we got a whole summer to go. And hopefully it doesn't get any worse than what it is now. But I hate being woke. It's my burden, not yours. Like, subscribe, comment, like, subscribe, and I'm out.